What's up, superhero fans? Welcome back to Soup's Disputes, the show where I sit down with producer, talent manager, industry insider, and mega fan Brad Lambert, and we come together to debate the most divisive superhero topics and break down the most trending superhero news. We have just a jam-packed show filled today, and we're gonna start off by talking about Morbius getting delayed and the inevitable delays of Black Widow and Venom 2. So, Brad, Morbius, it was originally coming out this year in March, then it got delayed to October, and now it's gotten delayed to March 2022. So, Brad, what are your thoughts on Morbius getting delayed? And we've also been hearing other reports that Black Widow will probably get delayed once again, and so will Venom 2. So, Brad, what are your thoughts on all of these different delays for upcoming superhero movies?
I mean, I think delays are inevitable at this point. I'm kind of surprised it pushed all the way to March. That tells me from a story standpoint, it's not pivotal in the grand scheme of things with Spider-Man 3. But then again, if Spider-Man 3 gets pushed, I might rethink that a little bit. But I'm not looking too much into it. I think we all know with COVID, this is going to be happening a lot. So, end of the year, a lot of these films will move because right now I think they're slated for fall. And the holiday season, I think we hopefully will be back to hopefully limited theater, going experiences. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, that kind of news doesn't really faze me anymore because it's expected at this point.
Yeah. And, after all of the delays that we got in 2020, now it's just like, all right, tell me something new.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where we're all at. So, again, at this point, when it comes to Morbius, them delaying Morbius all the way to 2022 tells me that Venom 2 will most likely get delayed and take that October spot that Morbius was originally in. Because maybe
That's
Venom
fair.
2 has more significance to something like Spider-Man 3. Because we all know at some point they're going to set up Tom Hardy's Venom to go up against Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So maybe that's why they delayed Morbius from March this year to March next year. So that's what that tells me. And, I find it very interesting that they originally delayed Morbius all the way to October, which is a pretty safe date as of right now. And then, all of a sudden, Venom 2 is still on its current release date and coming out in June, even though it's expected to move. Right now, it's still on its current release date. It hasn't been delayed. But Morbius getting delayed all the way to next March tells me that Venom 2 is way more pivotal in terms of a story standpoint than Morbius.
I agree.
Because again, we all watched that Morbius trailer and we were all stunned when we saw Michael Keaton's Vulture. But, my original thought was, okay, they're going to have Morbius come out before Spider-Man 3 and it's going to set up, maybe Vulture to be in Spider-Man 3 and maybe Morbius as well. So now that they've moved Morbius all the way to March, it makes sense for Venom 2 to take that October spot. And again, there's been rumors circling that we may see Tom Holland's Spider-Man in Venom 2. It's going to set up that whole storyline. So all this entire Morbius delay situation, all that tells me is that Venom 2 has more significance to the story that's going on in Spider-Man 3. And Venom 2 most likely get delayed to that October spot, which again, I'm more excited for Venom 2 personally than I am for Morbius. Seeing Venom go up against Carnage, sign me up. I mean, later on, we're going to talk about another matchup that's going to be pretty crazy. But Venom and Carnage, that's going to be one of the best matchups of the entire year. So I am looking forward to that. And when it comes to the Black Widow situation, Disney and Marvel, they could take their time. They got their guns loaded over there on Disney Plus. We're being fed right now with WandaVision. Then we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier in March, and then Loki, and then What If, and then Hawkeye and Miss Marvel, and so on and so forth. So when it comes to the movies, it's okay for someone like Disney and Marvel to take their time and have this movie, and have it get delayed to a point where they feel it's safe and fit to release this movie in theaters. So again, when it comes to the whole Black Widow situation, I just want this movie to get the love it deserves. Again, this is Scarlett Johansson's final film as Black Widow, and she's finally getting her solo movie as Black Widow. So I want this movie to succeed, and I want it to be viewed. I want it to be able to be viewed in theaters, because if they were to release it in May, then Brad, you live in downtown Los Angeles. So for someone like you, where you guys are still in lockdown, you want to be able to watch Black Widow in theaters. So again, when it comes to the whole Black Widow situation, I say that Disney and Marvel should probably just take their time on that. keep on going hard on the Disney Plus stuff because that stuff is inevitable. There's no delaying the Disney Plus shows. So Disney's got their hands full. Marvel's got their hands full. And now moving over into another Marvel movie we're going to be talking about is Shang-Chi. So, of course, as most of you know, Shang-Chi recently wrapped filming a while back. And now Simu Liu, the star of the movie, who's playing Shang-Chi, has been talking a bit about his time filming that movie. Now, Brad, this one's coming straight for you, but your boy Simu Liu recently said that Shang-Chi could take on both Iron Man and the Hulk in a fight in the MCU. Brad, what are your thoughts?
I mean, he's on something right now. He's feeling himself. I mean, look, Hulk got destroyed by Thanos, thrown around like a rag doll. Okay, Iron Man put up a pretty decent fight, and you're gonna tell me that he's gonna beat Hulk and Iron Man? I mean, I can't wait to see what this version of Shang-Chi looks like, but yeah, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but hey, I'm more than happy to eat my words.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we all know that from the comics that Shang-Chi is the best mixed martial artist in the Marvel universe. And when it comes to the action, that's probably the part of that movie that I'm looking forward to the most, which is the action and, you know, the kung fu and the mixed martial arts aspect of things. And combining that with like superheroes, it's just like the best mix in the world. And I'm super excited to see that all go down. But now that he's out here yapping, saying that Shang-Chi could beat the Hulk and Iron Man, I'm actually going to have to kind of agree with him, dude. Because, all right, look, when it comes to the Iron Man situation, all right, Iron Man can literally just drop a nuke on him and he would be dead.
Facts.
When it comes to the Hulk, dude, he could easily find different pressure points in the Hulk and kind of like just like have his muscles spaz out. Like, you know, that move at the beginning of Infinity War, Thanos didn't necessarily beat Hulk because he was stronger than Hulk. He beat Hulk because he was a more skilled fighter and he saw Hulk's pressure points. You know, he hit him with like that like shot in the shoulder where Hulk's arm was like dead. And I feel like Shang-Chi would definitely do that against the Hulk. So,
but here's the thing too, it referencing that scene.
Yeah.
I mean, Hulk laid a few good licks on Thanos right out of the gate, right? If Hulk did that to Shang-Chi, like you're telling me Shang-Chi's going to take that full brunt of that hit?
Dude, I don't think Hulk could be able to hit Shang-Chi. I think he's too fast.
I mean, I don't know.
Who right now, Brad? Who are you taking to fight, Hulk or Shang-Chi?
I mean, I'm leaning more towards Hulk, but I totally agree with you on the speed angle.
Yeah.
But like, is Shang-Chi strong enough to make it matter? You know, or is it just going to be like a little massage for him? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, and another thing too is that we're talking about Hulk, not a science nerd with a broken arm.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. Like, I think when this movie comes out and we see the MCU version of Shang-Chi, I think we can come back and revisit this conversation because there's a lot of unknowns. Like, we know who Shang-Chi is, but the MCU version, whatever powers or skills or whatever he may have, it could be different. So I'm excited to see what they do with the character because if he's talking like that, I feel like there's stuff we don't know about. Yeah,
those are fighting words. That's big talk right there. So we're gonna have to wait and see when Shang-Chi comes out in July, if Shang-Chi could potentially stand up to both Hulk and Iron Man in a fight. I'm super excited because what else do you want him to be saying? Like that he would get mopped by everyone else in the MCU? No.
I mean, let's be real. We know he'd beat Hawkeye's ass.
Yo, why do you gotta go to my boy Hawkeye like that? Why Hawkeye?
That's exactly why. I'm teasing you, bro.
So those are big words coming from C. Liu. Let us know in the comment section down below. Do you guys think that Shang-Chi would stand up against Hulk and Iron Man in a fight? Let us know in the comment section down below. Now moving on to the next topic. Brad, WandaVision episode 3 dropped. I think it's safe to say this was by far the best episode of the season so far.
100%.
And
100%.
It sets up so much moving forward. So, Brad, what were your thoughts after watching WandaVision episode 3?
Uh, Wanda is scary. Like that last scene where she's standing over the kids and she's like, "Oh, she left, honey. She had to go home." Like that was something out of The Conjuring where someone's possessed by the devil.
Dude, yeah.
Like she looks like she has zero empathy and is just like heartless in a way. When she turns like that, it's scary. And the one note I think, on the after show I had with you, Utah and Warren, is we were talking about how when she's done her powers normally in previous films, she always has the red energy aura on her eyes, on her hands, around her. We haven't seen that once this whole time. And I find that to be a very big piece of detail that is not being shown. And I feel like there's a reason for that. Either Wanda is making sure her aesthetic isn't as intimidating or scary, and she's suppressing that visual, or something bigger is afoot. Obviously, getting Geraldine's character in the mix, Monica Rambeau. I'm excited for that because she was thrown out of their pocket reality. And I think in this next episode, we are going to see from Sword's point of view, hopefully dating back to when this happened, what happened in general, how this happened, when they figured it out, like all these pieces of information. I think we're going to get it from that Sword's POV, as well as Monica Rambeau, a little backstory on her, where she's been since Captain Marvel. And then, yeah, I think we're going to see from her POV, Wanda is a lot more vicious and scary than what we've been led to believe. Because once again, Wanda's in control, right, of what we see, but not necessarily what others may see. Yeah. So it's interesting.
And now that you say that, dude, what I'm thinking right now, as soon as you said that, is what if we're seeing something that's different from what's actually happening? And that gets revealed later on. So yeah. Again, dude, this episode was wild from beginning to end. After watching the episode literally like 100 times in order to break it down, I grinded through the episode, and the majority of the episode was all about the twins and the arrival of the twins. And we know how important they are for this show, because up to this point, everything has been about for the children. But where this episode really took it to a whole nother level was the last 5 minutes. And I counted, dude, literally from the 21st minute of the episode all the way to the 26th minute. Those last 5 minutes really turned up the heat. I mean, we had Vision escorting the doctor outside of the house, and then the doctor kind of like teases that there's no escaping this small town. And he's like saying it, and props to the actor because he's saying it, but like you could see that he's being like controlled to some extent. And then we have that scene with Agnes and Herb telling Vision the rumors about Monica. And then that crazy scene in that living room where Wanda's talking about her brother Pietro. Then Monica snaps out of the mind control and tells her about how he died from Ultron, and it completely snaps Wanda out of it. And it was in that moment that we really got our first taste at what an evil Wanda, an evil Scarlet Witch is going to look like moving forward, because this has been something me and you have both been talking about, that at some point she's going to turn, man. She's going to lose it. She's going to go crazy. And we saw that in this episode. At the end, she throws Monica out of the pocket reality. And that was the first time we really got to see the red powers in Wanda. Obviously, we didn't see her throw Monica out of the reality, but Monica lands and she has like the red glow all over her, signaling that it was Wanda. So a ton of huge things went down in this episode. Of course, we also had that scene with the stork, and I'm sure that's going to be huge moving forward, because my theory is that that's probably Mephisto, because you have Wanda, the most powerful Avenger, and she has, from our understanding, she has a lot of control in this alternate reality. She can literally reverse time when she saw the beekeeper. She can stop Vision from continuing to dive deep into all the weird things that are happening. So she has a lot of control of what's happening. But the fact that she couldn't snap that stork out of that scene, and then the red smoke was popping up, and then the stork was like biting on Monica's dress, almost like signaling that he wants to like get her out of that whole situation. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, what the stork means for the kids. A stork delivers children. So because everything has been for the children in the show, my guess is that stork was Mephisto disguised because he wants something with these kids. He's been planting it, manipulating it in Wanda's head since the beginning of the show. And now that the kids are here, now is when the show is really going to start. And again, one of the more interesting things that I find that we both know is that the screeners that were sent out to all of these different high-level individuals where they got the opportunity to watch the first 3 episodes a while back, they only saw the first 3 episodes. So now going into next week, episode 4, this is uncharted territory. And this is a direct quote coming from Paul Bettany himself, saying that next week's episode, which is this Friday, episode 4, it will blow our minds. And I think there's a reason that they didn't send this episode along with the other first 3 episodes for other people to view and review. So, dude, I'm expecting big things from episode 4 moving forward. I think like you said, we're gonna get some info on Sword. We're gonna get the outside perspective in this episode, a perspective with Monica, a perspective with Sword. Maybe we see Darcy. Maybe we see Jimmy Woo. Maybe we see, who knows, Nick Fury. We don't know. So
we don't know.
Now going into the next episode, Brad, what do you think are some of the things we're going to see in episode 4 of WandaVision?
Like we've been talking about, I think it's going to be a lot of the backstory, like when this took place. How long after Endgame? Was it the next day? Was it a week later? Was it a month later? Like, how long after are we talking? And how did this come about? When did they realize something was very wrong in this town? When did they realize Wanda was missing? These details, I think we could get a good look. I think it's not far-fetched to think that Nick Fury might make an appearance to some capacity, because if Wanda goes missing, you bet he's involved in that conversation to find her. Maybe other Avengers as well. I mean, that's not a normal situation when your most powerful teammate goes missing. So that backstory, I think, is going to be pretty revealing in a lot of ways, but also when we get the clips inside the reality again, I think that's where the mind blown kind of situation is going to be, because we're going to see that from other people's perspective, maybe Wanda is scary, evil, and crazy. So I can't wait to see what they do with this. Once again, Agnes is there stirring the pot, making things a lot sketchier than they need to be. Mm-hmm. So we all know, I think, at this point that she's working with Mephisto, if this is true. And she's there to do as he wishes and also stir the pot and make sure it's a misdirect. Don't look at me. Look at Monica Rambeau. Look at Geraldine. Don't look at me. She's the problem. And that's classic manipulation, and it's working. So I'm curious to see how Monica's affected and impacted from flying through that portal, that reality. You and I spoke about maybe that's how she gets her abilities, which I think would be sick. It's a mutation. A lot of things can happen. A lot of things can happen. So I'm excited, man. I've read a lot of stuff on this episode as well, and a lot of people are saying it's going to be the craziest one yet.
Dude, and just again, the progression of this show just gets us more anxious and anxious every single week for the next episode, because coming off of the premiere where they dropped the first 2 episodes, we were all on the edge of our seats by the end of it, seeing that scene with Wanda and Dottie in the radio, seeing the beekeeper, seeing Wanda inspect the helicopter. And now in this episode,
I don't want to interrupt you real quick, but remember the Endgame trailer, the one that was all black and white that just featured the red elements? I'm curious if that's tied to what they're doing in WandaVision?
I doubt it, but who knows, man? I mean, it's the same structure. Like it's literally the same thing, same style
Yeah.
of filter. So it's gonna be interesting. And again, we talked about it in the live watch party, the potential of the reality stone potentially being at play here, since this is kind of a new like alternate reality, even though it's not necessarily an alternate reality, it's more like a pocket dimension where Wanda
Yeah.
just took over this town, or Mephisto, or whoever is behind the
Yeah.
scenes. But now going back to this episode, episode 3, dude, in this episode, literally every single character that was a part of this episode, except for Agnes, had an extremely weird moment. At the beginning, with Herb cutting into the fence, where it's like, again, he didn't have control of like what he was doing. Then Vision on the couch, where our TV's glitched. Like that's what I felt. I was watching the episode and it felt like my TV glitched. I thought my computer glitched. Where Wanda literally just cut off Vision and then he just went back to like saying what he was originally saying. Then with the doctor, as he was leaving the house after, helping Wanda deliver the babies. Then, of course, with Monica and Wanda over there at the end. So there's definitely more of these like weird moments that are happening. And again, I expect that to be the same thing moving forward into this episode, where things become more and more obvious to like the general viewers that aren't, diving deep into watching breakdown videos such as all of us. But to the general audiences, I think it's going to be a lot more clear what's happening with this next episode. They're going to make it extremely clear. There's going to be more weird moments. And again, just the intensity of those last 5 moments. That was my biggest takeaway from that last episode, because even though these episodes are around 25 minutes long, the intensity of those last 5 minutes made it feel like an eternity. So I'm just thinking, like, imagine we get an entire episode with that level of intensity.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be insane. It's going to be off the charts. And we know we're going to get that down the line. They're building towards that. And I expect I expect this next episode, since it's supposed to blow all of our minds, to have more of that intensity, carry that over into the next episode, and continue to give us more of those, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness horror elements injected all over this. And again, this show is just getting me. They're not even talking about anything related to Multiverse of Madness. We know it's going to set it up, but just seeing the horror element being injected here and there gets me more and more excited for Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, they've done such an awesome job. I saw a tweet after the episode last week that basically said the way they've infused a horror thriller element through this sitcom is genius. And that's something where we haven't seen that before. So I'm excited to see how it continues. And I do believe it will continue to grow with each and every episode. And like you said, I think it's going to eventually pop. And that is where I think everything's going to hit the fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally just, I can't imagine sitting here with you, Brad, on this watch party, watching a 25, 26, 30-minute episode with that level of intensity from beginning to end, with high level action. And we know we're going to get that. I mean, the show is $250 million and, they practically filmed the first 3 episodes on the same set. So, man, I'm just so excited moving forward, because this show has done such a great job in really just building and building and building. And Marvel's genius at this. They showed it since, when they first started their universe with Iron Man, then in Thor, then in Captain America, and it all built up to Avengers, and then the next Avengers, and then Infinity War and Endgame. This is what Marvel does best. And they're really showcasing that with this show. So again, guys, make sure to tune in back over here on YouTube for the live watch party for WandaVision episode 4. Brad is going to be back here. We're going to be talking all about episode 4 of WandaVision and how it's going to blow our minds next Friday.
Can't wait.
So now, guys, we're going to spice things up a bit over here on Soups Disputes. You guys mainly know me for my superhero content, and for me and Brad, or Brad and I, talking about superheroes over here on Soups Disputes. But we're going to spice it up today. We're going to talk about one of the biggest movies, one of the biggest matchups of the year. Recently, the Warner Brothers debuted the trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong, which they've now moved up to drop in March. Brad, they dropped this trailer. This has been one of the most highly anticipated movies of 2020. But after this trailer, the entire world is excited to see this battle go down.
It looks incredible. I mean,
so again, wait. Brad, what are your thoughts? What was your initial reaction to the first trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong, and whose side are you on?
I was blown away with how intense and action packed it was. Obviously, with the first Godzilla film and Kong Skull Island, um, it took a while to see these monsters, right? Godzilla, you didn't see him until like the last 20 minutes. And you're like, oh, come on. But it looks like this one's going to start quick right
Yeah.
out of the gate. And that makes it very exciting because, man, these two epic legendary monsters are going to go toe to toe. And we haven't seen Kong in a long time. And he's grown significantly
Yeah.
since Skull Island. So now he's if not bigger, but about the same size as Godzilla, and he's not playing around. So I'm definitely Team Kong. I think he's a million times smarter than Godzilla.
Yeah.
He's faster. He's strategic, which I
Opposable
think goes a
thumbs.
long way. Yeah, and he can actually grab things. At one point in the trailer, you see him. I think he took one of the spikes
Yeah.
from Godzilla's back or tail, put it onto a makeshift like rod, and is now using it as like an axe. So I mean, Godzilla's not going to do that. He's not smart enough to do that. So I think like those elements are going to be really interesting, where Kong's awareness and intelligence is going to be a huge factor in the battle. But I also think that, if he takes a direct hit, whether it be from Godzilla's, epic final attack, I think, he could be in some trouble. But it's a really interesting matchup. But a lot of people were kind of overlooking that it's been teased that Mechagodzilla is
Mhm.
going to be in this film. So a lot of people are saying that the Godzilla that we see in the trailer might not actually be the real Godzilla, and it could be Mechagodzilla with a skin graft on him. And that's like one of the big rumors going around. So I want to ask you, what do you think about that rumor? And then if that is true, could we see the real Godzilla and Kong team up to take down Mechagodzilla?
I mean, because this movie is coming from Warner Brothers, all I'm saying is there better not be a Martha scene in here between these two. I better not see these two going at it.
No,
And
Martha,
then
please.
Kong has Godzilla like on his heels, and then Godzilla's just like, Martha. Martha. And then they become best buddies. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
But dude,
film over.
this trailer looked amazing. And I think it's one of the best trailers I've seen in a while.
Agreed.
One, because this is a movie that doesn't really have a built-up fan base going into it. Like going into a movie like Avengers Endgame, that their trailer could have literally been Tony Stark sitting in a room not saying any words, and we would have all gone crazy because it was the trailer for Avengers Endgame. For the trailer for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the trailer could have literally been like Luke meditating, and we all would have gone crazy because it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Going into this movie doesn't have like a pre-built fan base. It doesn't really have a strong established fan base.
Yeah, certainly not the size of the existing franchises you just mentioned.
Yeah, and again, the films that came in the past have been very divisive amongst fans. The first Godzilla movie, Kong Skull Island, was a big hit with many people, and then Godzilla King of the Monsters was hit or miss for a lot of people. So now going into this movie, this trailer pretty much got everyone I know on board. Like I don't understand how you can watch this trailer and not be excited for this movie. First of all, I'm getting huge Iron Giant vibes with the way they set up not Godzilla, with the way they set up Kong's character and how he's connected to the little girl and she's the only one who communicates with him. Dude, how dark would it be? Which I think, judging off of that trailer, I think that's how it goes, where Godzilla destroys that ship and that little girl dies. And then that's where Kong gets his animosity towards Godzilla. And what a great motivation. One of the things that really didn't sit well with me with Batman versus Superman, even though I really like that movie, one of the things that really didn't sit well with me is that Superman and Batman didn't really want to both fight each other. Like Superman wanted to get Batman on his side instead of fighting him. Batman wanted to fight Superman. They did such a great job with setting up Batman's motivations, but it was so one-sided with the way that fight went down. Now going into this, Kong definitely is going to have a motivation to go after Godzilla. And like you mentioned, that might not even be Godzilla. That might be Mecha Godzilla. And we know he's in this movie because there's specific shots in this trailer where you can see like a robotic.
And the toy leak.
The toy leaks as well. But in the trailer, there's like a split second shot at like 5 seconds into the trailer where you could see like Mecha Godzilla destroying a city. And then there's another shot where it's like a computer screen and it shows Mecha Godzilla on the screen. So it's going to be super interesting to see how this plays out. But all I know is that everything we're seeing looks amazing. Oh my God. That scene of Kong flying in with like Stormbreaker, basically. By the way, aiming for the head. Take notes, Thor. Aiming for the head and just slamming it on Godzilla's head or whoever that is, Mecha Godzilla maybe. Dude, this is going to make for some of the best action. And I don't know anyone who isn't on board for this because this trailer was so well done. And, you know, there's a lot of trailers out there for specific movies that are very action heavy. It's just showing, you know, like all of the best moments, all of the bright lights. Technically, the best way to describe it is like a Michael Bay movie where like all of his trailers are just like high level action. But this trailer didn't just have high level action. It actually set up the story so perfectly where now us as fans with one trailer have a perfect understanding of what the story is about. And, you know, seeing Millie Bobby Brown in there was amazing. I cannot wait to see how she does in this movie.
I honestly didn't know she was going to be in the film. So that's great connective tissue from the previous film. So I'm really excited about that. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah.
They're fusing the universes of both, you know, the Kong characters as well as the Godzilla characters. But the one shot where Kong just like lays a haymaker right in his jaw on the while they're standing on like separate battleships, like it just that shot right there, I was saying I'm 100% in.
Dude, same here, bro. But the question is, whose team are you guys on? Me and Brad are rolling with Team Kong. You know, he's just too smart. He's got the opposable thumbs. He's faster than Godzilla. And Godzilla can have that atomic breath. But guess what? By using his brains, Kong cooked up like a little spear using Godzilla's spike to block out that nuclear power. So,
and also, it takes Godzilla a hot minute to use that attack.
To heat up.
So you think Kong's just gonna sit there and wait and let him charge that up? Nah.
Hell no. Dude, another thing too is that, oh my God, seeing Godzilla and Kong team up against like a Mecha Godzilla, we haven't even seen anything of that.
That would be so sick. Yeah.
And that's most likely gonna happen. Let's be real.
I think so.
Oh my God, that's gonna be epic to watch, and I just can't wait. And again, Warner Brothers is releasing this year. It's coming out in March. They're going all in. They're putting their chips in with Godzilla versus Kong. And again, if where you live, you can go watch this in theaters, please do yourself a favor and go watch it in theaters. This is a movie that was made to be watched on a super big IMAX screen.
IMAX. Yeah.
So
guys, it has to be safe. You know, we gotta be safe. We gotta take care of ourselves. Number one thing. 100%. But that's what I called you the other day, and I was like, look, man, like when theaters eventually do open up, hopefully by the end of the year, we should be able to backtrack in the last year and say, I want to watch Godzilla versus Kong, which might not technically, you know, be in the window still, but like we should still have the opportunity to do that, or Wonder Woman 1984, or any of the stuff that drops on HBO Max. You know, even Mulan, which dropped on, you know, Disney Plus. So that's what I hope, because obviously, you know, I go to the movies 2 to 3 times a week in a normal time, but I can't wait to get back. And the second it's safe to do so, I will be there 100%.
Yeah. And that's such a great idea that I think every theater should implement, which is the ability to go back and rewatch movies like Wonder Woman 1984, Kong versus Godzilla, Mulan. And I'm sure there's gonna be other movies that drop throughout the year. Again, another movie that Warner Brothers is dropping in theaters and on HBO Max is the Suicide Squad movie. That's something we're all super excited for. James Gunn's is the Suicide Squad. So again, hopefully theaters implement that where you can go back and rewatch movies on this scale, because these movies were made for the big screen. They weren't made to be watching
Godzilla versus Kong.
Exactly. That's literally the biggest stage ever. So again, as long as it's safe, make sure you guys are out there staying safe, which is the number one thing. Make sure you stay safe, and make sure if your theaters are open, again, it's a safe environment. They're not just letting everyone in there because, again, that's how this virus continues to get bigger and bigger. And